Greetings, colleagues, and happy Mazeppa Day. This evening I had the privilege to take part in an early run of We Have a Situation by Parabolic Theatre. 30 loyal members of the Republic of Mazeppa, loyal to its government, gathered to face off against 30 capitalist pig dogs from the Commonwealth of Mazeppa. As you no doubt know, Lord Byron found Mazeppa and established a wonderful civilization there. Unfortunately, it has become divided between the ex-Soviet Republic of Mazeppa in the north and the British-American allies, the Commonwealth of Mazeppa in the south. Tensions have been boiling high, particularly since the northern president took sanctuary in the south. They have imprisoned him but refused to give him back until we repudiate the death penalty. He is a northern Mazeppan citizen and it is up to us what happens to him. As if tensions weren't high enough with that, there is also a terrorist group working to undermine both governments, both civilizations. Obviously, our nukes are all decommissioned, but if we had nukes, we were on the brink of a nuclear war. And it was Mazeppa Day, the time that we celebrate our founding, the time that we gather with our family and feast on the traditional Mazeppa cake. We gathered, the 30 government loyalists of the Republic of Mazeppa, and presumably in another place, the 30 disgusting pig dogs. It was a Zoom chat because of the current tensions running high. We had to be in separate locations. We had an initial briefing, an overview of the current geopolitical situation, and then we were given the option of 3 different rooms to join. We could either join the group that looked at propaganda and communications to the people and to our neighbours in the south. We could join the group led by the general, who would facilitate discussions about troop movements, tank placements, and any reactions that we had to southern hostility. Or we could join a group looking at covert operations. As a former covert operative, I chose to join them. In this group, we were faced with dilemmas. They would give us a situation that was occurring, a terrorist threat that needed to be stopped or changed or used to our advantage. We would be presented with a list of operatives in the field. We would choose which operatives to send and how to use them, what orders to give them. Once us and the other groups had all given our commands, we then regrouped in one central place where we were presented with information from the wonderful propaganda communications department telling us the latest news from across Mazeppa. We would then react to that news, split up into our separate groups and discuss what to do next with further unfolding situations. If we had captured people previously, we had chances to gain information from their property, to interrogate them, or send operatives to interrogate them, and so on and so on. The stories branched and developed, intertwining and going with communications being slow and difficult between the north and south. We would often get information about something before it happened, after it happened, leading to some fraught moments. Eventually tensions were boiling over too high and we had a summit. One person from each department from the north, one person from each department in the south. The 6 of us met. All people from both nations watching the unfolding negotiations. It was a tense time. On our Mazeppa Day, the South had brutally attacked northern land in order to try to cut off a terrorist attack, sending troops across the border. We were unyielding. They either had to declare war or remove the troops. We were not willing to accept foreign occupation of the Republic of Mazeppa's soil. They were also in a tense standoff, urgently needing to make sure that the terrorists did not gain control of nukes, which are, of course, all decommissioned. There were no nukes to get control of. But they didn't want to give up their advantage of having troops on the soil to make sure that there weren't any nukes. It was tense. At any moment it could have boiled over, and for most of the summit it seemed fairly certain it would. But they had an amazing propaganda foreign office, they call it, an amazing Foreign Office official who stepped up and gave a speech that convinced us we needed to bind together to face the greater enemy, the terrorist threat. We needed to accept civilian people watching as long as they withdrew their actual military. We agreed to this. It was a great triumph for the North. We had driven the Southerners back, and had to accept a few of their people watching our apparently decommissioned nuclear site, but we had driven the Southerners back, and we exchanged hostages to make sure that we got one of our best operatives back alive. Glory to the Republic of Mazeppa. But then tensions boiled over again. Another terrorist attack. We were faced with the terrible dilemma. Do we send troops across the border without first negotiating? The negotiations were going tensely. We decided to send just a covert operative, but it wasn't certain if it would be allowed or not. At the last minute, we got permission. We watched on tenterhooks as our operative worked with theirs, took out the terrorist threat, and we had worked together. This Mazeppa day, we had avoided war. But it was easy to see on another Mazeppa day, with different diplomats, without their propagandist Hogarth. It could have been very different. It could have been a war, it could have been full nuclear holocaust, if we had nukes, which we don't, they're all decommissioned. There were dilemmas to be faced. Our choices made differences to the stories that emerged, and it seemed to have a high degree of replayability, if you will. I am intrigued to find out what happens on another Mazeppa day. I am tempted to go deep undercover, to no longer be Fireball of the Republic of Mazeppa, to take on a secret identity and act as a Commonwealth pig dog, see what it's like from the capitalist side. It was a fun evening. It was an evening that I would very much do again. And it is an evening where you can either take on more of a character, like I did, or you can just be there to present sensible choices, to look through the data available, to suggest what to do with it. There's a wide variety of replayability because there are 3 different streams that you get to take part in. Covert operations, directing a single operative and choosing which one's best is very different from the military things where you're moving around entire units and tank columns. And it's very different from propaganda where you might be recording videos to send out to the people of the Republic of North Mazeppa. So yes, I very much recommend it. I very much recommend that you listen to the call. Mazeppa needs you. The People's Republic of Mazeppa needs you. The Commonwealth of Mazeppa probably needs their type. It is a chance to celebrate the glories of our land, the glories of Mazeppa cake, the glories of our nuclear bunkers that we eat our Mazeppa cake in, the nuclear bunkers of our hearts, where we think on our family and on our past, when we come together, and where, this time at least, we survived Mazeppa Day. People, we have a situation.